New construction is ongoing prior to the demolition of the existing house. So we just wanted to bring that to the board's attention since I know it was an issue, and we looked into it, but because of the material storage is the prime reason that we would prefer to start construction and do the demo after construction has started.
Where are the materials stored right now? Aren't they in the?
Mostly in the house. There's some in the barn, but mostly in the existing house.
Existing house, okay.
Correct.
Okay.
There was some testimony and some debate between your clients and a neighbor about certain piles of material in and about the yard, whether they were building materials or just piles of junk.
Well, I know since the last meeting, the applicants have been on-site cleaning up. There was a language breakdown between the zoning officer and the applicant, and she advised the applicants not to do anything. They thought they meant they couldn't do anything on the property maintenance-wise or whatnot, but I confirmed with Ms. Newcomb with respect to that, and they were able to, go out there and clean some of the property up, some of the materials that were out there. So trying, get ahead of that aspect. But with respect to other things that were stored, there was soil brought in, and that's been reviewed by soil conservation and and approved. They were fine as long as we don't bring any additional soil in. But with respect to, as the period of time has gone on, they were able to gather more of the materials and supplies that they would need for the construction of the new house. So they're trying to, keep them out of the weather.
There's also the issue of the abandoned, unregistered car. Maybe it was a Jeep.
It is registered.
There is a Jeep. They're saying that the Jeep is registered.
It's registered, it has plates.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and with respect to, I think there was some question as to whether or not there was a construction vehicle. That's Mr. Lorenko's own vehicle. It's the vehicle he gets supplied by his employer, and because he travels, he's allowed to take it to and from his other jobs. That's the only construction vehicle. There's no other construction vehicles that would be parked at the site other than what the applicants have.
I have one comment about the demolition, the timing. And I know I raised it at the last meeting, and I still have a problem with it. And it has nothing to do with putting the applicant in a penalty box. We want to help work with them as best as possible. But what I don't want is, I don't want Hainesport Township to be stuck with a new house, partially constructed, and an existing house that's being abandoned, still on the property. We've got to make sure that it's going to be done. And I don't know if it's, is there a bond being placed on this?
So, Mr. Korpfeifer, I'm actually in support of the request, and here's the reason being. Being here as long as I have, this wouldn't be the first time that this has happened. As a zoning officer and in the construction office, there's a lot of controls that we have, meaning that at some point, we can even put it in the resolution if this were to pass, that once they get to a certain point in construction, meaning rough electrical, rough plumbing, all the roughs, that demo permit would be required to be in my office at that time. That would, if that was in the resolution, that would allow me then to enforce the fact that at that point, the construction of the house goes no further until I have the demo. Demolishing this house will take one day, to be quite honest with you. But we've done this where people have had to rehab their houses, or we've had fires where people have lived in trailers. And the control is that you don't get a CO for your house until all those conditions are met. I agree with the fact is that keeping the house and using it as a storage facility compared to 100 pods on their property is a lot more clean and sufficient. The electric that's already in the house makes sense that they can use that in order to build without having to come in for temp poles and things such as that. So, again, as a zoning officer and the construction tech, I feel that I'm in support of what the request is, only because after all these years of doing this job, there's not one that has gotten by us yet.
Kathy, do you have a recommendation on the percentage?
On the what?
On the percentage of completion?
Correct, as I just stated, once they call for all their rough service, or pardon me, the rough electrical, and they get service on that, at that point, once they establish service and they get a cutting card, it's sent to PSC&G, then PSC&G comes and sets the meter on the new house. At that point, then, that can be disconnected from the existing home and that demolition can start.
So the installation of the meter is the trigger?
Yes, that would be the
for
perfect
deposit
analogy,
of
yes.
the demolition permit with you?
Correct.
Okay.
And at that point, they don't get anything further until that demo permit is in and action has started.
Okay. Is that clear and
That's
acceptable to you?
Clear and acceptable, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we have any notion of when and how long construction is going to take place?
Quick, because the applicant himself is going to be constructing the house, and if he wants to live peacefully with his wife, he will start as soon as we satisfy the conditions of the approval. They're ready to go.
Okay, what prompted that question was, it seems like they've been doing a lot of work on there over a considerable amount of time, I think. And I just don't want this house being built to go for a year.
No, they are anxious to build their new home and live in their new home, and hopefully they won't have any delays with respect to supplies and materials, getting those in, nor will they have any delays of another contractor delaying them.
Okay.
So, believe me, they would love to get out of where they're.
And the applicant's job won't prohibit him from spending
No.
time he needs on the property?
Will not.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Kurfleifer, another point of interest is the existing garage. We will require them to get a construction permit for that as well. And at that point, we will require them, that will be separate of the house. That will require them to deal with the construction office under the guidelines of exposing footings, making sure that any trusses that are done, any type of electrical work that is done is all in with our guidelines.
Okay.
Does that also apply to the chicken coop now that we've heard it's been moved?
It does not.
Counselor, could I ask, we just take a couple of minutes to let, I'm sorry I don't remember your name, but
Okay,
but-
Susie Cardoso.
I know we talked about the World Cup. Would you mind just explaining that to the applicants right now, so there's no misunderstanding, exactly what Mrs. Newton said? Just,
Looks like it is. It probably uses it for the chickens or for irrigation or something.
yeah. You good with this way I'm doing it? Agreeable with everything?
Yep, my aunt understood everything,
Fine.
and we had already sent to Mr. Patron this evening that whatever we needed to do, we would do. And the minute that we were able to knock the old house down, that was the intent.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
And Mr.
Any-
Kurfleifer, just to let you know, I've discussed with Mr. Patron, is that prior to them getting any permits from us, is that I will go out and inspect the property, especially the garage itself, as we discussed before, of the chickens in there. I will make sure that they are removed, that the venting from the roof is removed. It's not required anymore at that point. And at that point, then, I will sign off on zoning prior to any of this happening.
Okay.
Agree.
Have to keep Mrs. Newcomb happy.
Absolutely.
You know that's important there, Mr.
I'm well aware.
Okay. Anything else, Counselor?
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank
Okay.
you.
Have any questions from any of the board members?
Well, just so that, to be clear, we're left with the request for the side yard variances,
For the dwelling, yes.
for the dwelling.
Yes.
Right. The chicken coop's been
The
resolved by you.
chicken coop will comply with the 50-foot setback.
All right,
I'll have my tape measure, don't worry.
all right, so that's,
She's
That's-
missing, it's missing a couple of inches, though, I think.
that's the request, the primary request for relief, subject to the other conditions that we've itemized
Agreed.
during our back and forth.
Yes.
Okay, any comments from professionals?
Other than you need to reopen the public.
Oh, I'm going to get there next.
And just a couple of minor things, Mr. Chairman. So I think it was discussed at the prior meeting, as a condition of approval, you would provide confirmation from DEP
Yes.
of a letter of interpretation.
Yes, absolutely.
Wetlands,
Mhm.
the buffers, and if there are any changes
We will,
to the driveway, you're going to need to return.
absolutely.
to the board. The second issue was kind of for Kathy and the board. Do you want to set a timetable for a number of days after the PSE&G electric service installation, so there is something certain, 30, 60, 90 days after that? So, or whatever that trigger is, because they really need that new service before they can disconnect and demo the old.
If you want my professional opinions, it's 2 weeks. And the reason being that once they get that meter, that permit now needs to be in my office, because they're going to have the disconnect letter from PSC&G that goes along with that house. And then at that point, they will have 30 days to remove the existing home, as far as I would like to see. That's up to you, the board members, what they want.
I just, whatever that is, I just thought it like makes sense now.
I agree. I think in the resolution, it needs to define some of these things, absolutely.
So Kathy, 2 weeks after meter goes in the new house,
That I need to
to
have
drop
the.
the permit, to
Yes.
drop the demo permit.
Right, because
30 days-
what'll happen is that 2 weeks timeframe, they have to go to PSC&G. PSC&G has to get them a disconnect letter. That has to be part of their demo permit.
Right. And then 30 days after the permit drops, to get the work done.
The house has to be demolished, yes.
Right. Okay.
Kathy, sometimes they require disconnect. If you don't have a phone, you still need a letter from Verizon saying there is no phone, your cable. So can they work on getting those items verified that they're not hooked, so they don't have to wait
They
on them?
usually don't have a problem with it. This house has been vacant for probably a good 5 to 8 years. I would find it hard to believe there'd be cable lines or anything in there, but again, that's something that we can, enforce. But I'm more concerned about PSC&G's disconnect letter.
So if all of that is tied in, the phone and everything else, if there is any, that has to be, can all be tied into that 2 weeks and then the 30 days?
Correct.
Yeah.
Unless one of these utility companies tells me they can't reach that time, then I have to make a decision whether or not I take them back to the board.
Okay,
Understood.
okay. Mr. Miller?
I just
Oh,
had-
I'm sorry.
That's all right, no problem. And then just clarification on the number of chickens. So the applicant said that they would agree to up to 40. They're still trying to get feedback. So I think the condition would be not more than 40 or some other lower number if recommended by Rutgers.
Correct. Yes.
Yep, I think that was clear.
And the last thing was related to there's a construction vehicle on site now that is,
Now, may I speak? So, I'm sorry, I'm the niece who translates. So the vehicle is only there when my aunt and uncle are on the property?
Because they drive it to get to the
Yes.
property.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
right, but are your aunt and uncle going to occupy the
Yes,
property?
Yes.
yes.
So the construction vehicle will be there?
Yes, his employer provides that for him because my uncle commutes to Delaware every single day.
Okay, so it's not his business?
No,
No.
no, it is
So
not. He
it's
works
a-
for somebody else.
It's a separate?
Yep.
Okay. That was all I had, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Miller?
With all the movement, do you have a soils permit?
We've been through soils, yes, I can provide you the approval that we had.
That'd be fine, that's all.
Okay. Any other questions from the board or professionals? If not, I'll open this up to the public for this application only. Is there anyone in the public wish to speak and address this applicant's request? Yes, sir. Gentleman in the back, could you come forward? You were here last time, right?
Yes, I was.
Okay, could you repeat your name?
Thank you.
Could you have your name, please?
Steve Scheimreif.
Okay.
I'm at the property 1911 Arc Road. I understand what you're trying to do here with the resolution part of it. I retired from PSE&G, 33 years. So I want to speak on the electrical part and the meter. Earlier, Kathy had said something about when all the rough-ins are done, at that point, you're going to call for the house to be demolished. But then it got switched in kind of once the meter's set, right?
Well, once they do the rough-ins for their electrical and plumbing and framing and such as that, 9 times out of 10 is that when rough electrical's done in the houses, they ask for the service request as well.
Yeah, they do. But it's not always that way.
Well, we'll make sure that, again,
It can be, we could set a meter and the houses almost move in.
you're not understanding what my point is.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying, that's what I'm up here.
The house will be stopped under construction at that point until they get that meter set. Nothing else will happen, no insulation, no anything else, no drywall, no nothing.
Well, what I'm trying to say is, they might not set that meter until the drywall's in.
No, it's not what's happened in the 20 years that I've been doing this.
Well, I've set meters over 33 years,
So
period of time.
we're going to have a house here then.
So, it could be, like I said, almost in moving condition before that meter gets set. So, I mean, listen, my concern is the house gets torn down and cleaned up, and that's
I
it.
guarantee you
So,
at this point,
in the,
that nothing is going to happen, they're not going to live in that house, they're not going to do anything.
Okay.
Until that meter is set, that house is done, and then they can get their CO.
okay, that's all, just in the resolution, I just wanted to make sure that everybody realized here that when and where that meter gets set is not always what you think.
Kath, can I address one thing?
Yes.
I've done a lot of electrical services. As long as the service is put in and it has a load, which only means you install an outlet, because PSE&G will not set a meter unless you have a load.
At least
hooked to it.
one, right?
And once they do that, he can use that as a temporary, house can be demolished. So he can actually, upon framing, do the service. He can do the service before rough. He can get the service
It
in.
ain't going anywhere until
Yep.
we
So-
say so in that construction office.
Once he has a roof over it and service and an outlet, he can get.
Well, there's a difference between a temporary service
Yeah,
set and
but
a permanent, yes.
But any house that I've ever worked on, you weren't allowed to set a meter unless you had a load, and an outlet qualified as a load.
Yeah, one outlet.
One outlet, that's right.
Can be load.
Yep.
Yeah, a 20 amp outlet, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
So the setting the meter won't be delayed, providing he gets the service inspected and has one outlet.
okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for clarifying that. Any other public comment on this application? Okay, public, anybody online have anything to say about this application? For the benefit of the public here in the audience, we've got people who dial in, and Mrs. Costco has control of that. No? Okay, I'm closing public comment and turn it back over to the board. What's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to grant the requested relief with the conditions that we discussed.
Okay. We don't have to reiterate them, Mr. Kingsbury, you're good with all the conditions?
Yes, now, the conditions that I have are that the existing house demolition will be controlled.
Can't hear you back here.
The existing house, the new house may be started, and the demolition of the existing house will be
Can you, is your microphone on?
the demolition of the existing house will be tied to Kathy Newcomb's office. She will
Yes.
make that determination based on electrical service. The applicant will comply with the requirements of Rutgers regarding the recommendation of how many chickens, up to 40. And they will obtain an LOI from DEP.
Okay. I think,
There's a soil letter to be
I'll submit-
provided.
Yes.
And there's a wetlands delineation letter.
LOI, yep.
and I think regarding the chickens, we're saying no more than 40, but if Rutgers says 30, that's the number.
That's the max.
It'll be
Right? Whatever
40
Rutgers
max
says, or
Or
40.
less if Rutgers says less.
Right, okay.
Yep.
Excuse me, we're still doing business up here on this applicant, please. Those are the conditions? Okay, so we have a motion, we need a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, any questions on the motion? Roll call, please.
Mr. McKay?
Yes.
Mayor Klaus?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Tricoci?
Yes.
Mrs. Baggio?
Yes.
Mrs. Costco?
Yes.
Mr. Bradley?
Yes.
And Mr. Kroll Pfeiffer.
Yes.
On behalf of the applicant, we'd just like to thank the board for their time and understanding on this
You're
matter.
welcome. Good
Thank
luck
you.
with the project.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Really?
The next order of business is case 22-11,
Back up to Mount Laurel?
which, I'm not going to go into details on it, but it's the car dealership school, training school, if you will, and we have a request to postpone that until the February meeting. So I need a motion and a second to postpone that to February 1st.
Second.
Any questions on the motion from the board? Roll call, please.
Did you, I'm sorry, because I didn't hear you. Did you announce that no new notice would have to be given with this application?
No, you just did.
Okay. Just to
Thanks.
make sure.
Appreciate it.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mayor Klaus?
Yes.
Mr. McKay?
Yes.
Mr. Tricoci?
Yes.
Mrs. Baggio?
Yes.
Ms. Costco?
Yes.
Mr. Bradley?
Yes.
And Mr. Kroll Pfeiffer.
Yes. Okay. Case 4, 22-09A, Beacon of Hope Incorporated, represented by attorney Erica Edwards. Welcome, counselor.
Thank you very much, sir.
How may we help you?
We're happy to be here. My name is Erica Edwards. I'm a land use and zoning lawyer here in New
Excuse
Jersey.
me, Mrs. Edward, let me just, there's several people that will have to step down from the
Yes,
board.
I forgot to say.
The mayor and the township committee person need to step down due to use variance.
Use variance.
And then we have two people that are on the board that are within notice that need to step away also. That would be Mrs. Baggio and Mr. Bradley.
Yep.
2, 3, 4. And at this time, if we can have Mr. Murphy, Mr. Novarita, because I need what, 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That would be it.
Sorry, counselor.
No problem.
We have to get the right
Understood.
number.
It's housekeeping. Yeah, right. You got it.
Okay. I'll clarify that we have a quorum before we begin.
Sure.
Yeah, I would leave anyway.
Steve? Steve?
Steve, if you want to sit up at the top, you can. Also, Mr. Levinson, which is a committee man in the audience, is also stepping out of the room.
I promise I won't touch it.
Welcome aboard, Steve, right here.
All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Like, see, we're just next to me. I knew we counted 7.
Good.
We are good.
We have a quorum.
Yes.
Okay.
For the benefit of you folks in the audience, what's been going on is if any applicant that has a request that's classified as a use variance, the members of the township committee cannot participate in it because that's the first place a rejected application gets appealed. And second of all, anyone who lives within, was it 200?
200 feet.
200 feet of the applicant, they have to step down, which is what's happened, and that's why we've replaced the people with the alternates who are all present. So having said that, and we do have a quorum, so proceed, Counselor.
Okay, awesome. And we do have 7 voting members, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to...
Seventh one's here.
Got it, understood. Thank you. Just wanted to establish that. Again, members of the board, Mr. Chairman, and members of the board, consultants to the board, my name is Erica Edwards. I'm a land use and zoning lawyer here in New Jersey. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicant known as Beacon of Hope Incorporated. The site in question, or at issue, that we're here to discuss with you tonight is 1285 Route 38, identified as Block 101.02, Tax Lot 5 on the official tax map of the Township of Hainesport.
This is formerly known as Aaron Levin's Portrait Gallery.
I understand that is correct, sir. I understand. We are here tonight seeking preliminary and final site plan approval, use and bulk variance relief as well, for, most notably, for your approval to put a house of worship in a zone in which it is currently not a principal permitted use. We are in the highway commercial zone, the site in question, and we are contract purchasers of that property. The owner, by the way, is here in the audience, a representative of the owner who has signed the application, but we do have the owner's support, and the owner is here tonight. I just want to establish that. We have 4 witnesses tonight, just to let you know kind of where we're going. Our fact witness is Reverend Darlene Trappier of Beacon of Hope Incorporated. We also have a project engineer, Mark Malinowski of Stout & Caldwell out of Cinnaminson. Our architect of record is Kent Werner of JRP Architects out of Riverton. And then our professional planner is Mark Remsa out of Mount Laurel.
Okay, could you bring those 4 people forward to be sworn in at the same time, and we won't have to, you can do it quicker.
I will certainly work to do that. There you are. Awesome. So as they stand around me, we can...
I ask all of you 4 to raise your right hand, and you swear or affirm the testimony you give tonight, be the truth, whole truth, nothing but truth, so help you God.
I do.
Right.
Okay, do you want to qualify your professional witnesses now, too?
I could certainly do that. That would be helpful. That way we can kind of
Get the word,
be
yeah,
efficient
the word.
when we're testifying. So I'll start with Mr. Malinowski. Mr. Malinowski, would you put your, please place your educational and employment experience on the record, please?
Yes, good evening, everyone. I'm Mark Malinowski. I'm with the engineering firm of Stout & Caldwell Engineers at 705 Route 130 South in Cinnaminson, New Jersey. I have a bachelor's degree in civil engineering. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. I've been before boards throughout New Jersey. I've been at the Hainesport Township Board many, many years ago. I think the last application I did here was maybe for improvements to the Lucas dealership down the road. But it's been a while, but I've been, provide testimony throughout boards in New Jersey. I'm also currently Mansfield Township Joint Land Use Board Engineer.
Okay. Any questions from the board on qualifications? Hearing none, it's acceptable. Next.
Thank you very much. Our architect is going to ask Mr. Werner.
Good evening. Thank you for having us here this evening.
That'll tip up the microphone.
All right. My name is Kent Werner. I'm an architect with JRP Architects in Riverton, New Jersey, at 613 Main Street in Riverton. I'm a registered architect. I've been registered since 2005. My undergraduate degree is in interior design from Drexel University. I have a master's of architecture from University of Maryland. I've testified before other boards in this state and in Pennsylvania. but I don't believe I've testified in front of this board before, so thank you for hearing us.
Okay. Any questions from any board members? Hearing none, it's acceptable.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. 2023 marks my 43rd year in the field of planning. I'm in the state of New Jersey. I'm a licensed professional planner and landscape architect. With regard to my educational attainment, I have a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Planning and Design. I have a Master of City and Regional Planning, and I also have a Master of Business Administration with a concentration in finance. I have been qualified before New Jersey Superior Court as a professional planning witness. I have also appeared before numerous zoning boards and planning boards throughout the state of New Jersey. And currently I serve as a planner to East Hampton Township, Lumberton Township, special planner in Pemberton Township, also in Florence Township, and Beverly City.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from any board members? Hearing none, it's
Thank you.
acceptable. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you very much. Our first witness will be our fact witness, Ms. Trappier, and we're going to be providing some introductory information about Beacon of Hope. So, Darlene, I'm going to let you stand there, and I'm typically plenty loud enough. If that's not the case, feel free to.
Yeah, you're gonna need to speak, you're gonna need to get closer or pull the mic down a little bit because it's not picking you up very well.
Okay, can you hear me? Is that better? No? Okay.
We do have a handheld.
I'd be happy to use that, be happy to, and then.
We got another one, hold on. We're gonna get you one.
I'm being corrected by Paula, you're not allowed to use that.
We're gonna get you a different one.
I just got talking to him.
And then, but you're probably gonna need to step away from her then because it's gonna backfire you again. Good. You can get, I'm sorry, I thought she was getting the other mic. Just move it a little closer, she turned it up.
So we'll just make it work. Okay. All right. Darlene, would you state and spell your name for the record, please?
My name is Darlene Trappier, D-A-R-L-E-N-E. Last name T as in Tom, R-A-P-P as in Paul, I-E-R.
Very good. And would you tell the board what your role is with Beacon of Hope?
I am the owner and executive director.
And where is Beacon of Hope currently located?
It is currently located at 41 Mill Street in Mount Holly, New Jersey.
And how long have you been with Beacon of Hope?
I've been with Beacon of Hope for 12 years.
And isn't it true that you have been searching for some time for a new location for the organization?
That is correct.
And what does Beacon of Hope currently do? What services does it currently provide?
Beacon of Hope provides, has a food pantry, a clothes closet, a life skills training, a Code Blue Shelter Center, and I'm so nervous here tonight.
It's okay.
I apologize.
Could I ask you to run through those again?
Yes.
That'll give you time to think of the last
Give me
one.
time to think about it, yes, thank you. I would like to say thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. Beacon of Hope has a food pantry, it has a clothes closet, it has a life skills training center, it has a Code Blue shelter, and I think that's it. Yes,
That's the extent of the current operation?
yes.
Okay.
Excuse me, I understand Code Blue Shelter is a cold weather shelter? Is that
Yes,
correct?
it's only during the winter months.
And what's the temperature that triggers it?
It has to be 32 degrees or 25 wind chill factor.
Thank you.
And Ms. Trappier, am I correct in that you are a resident of Hainesport Township? Is that correct?
Yes, I have lived in Hainesport for 21 years.
And was it your goal to find a location in Hainesport Township that was suitable for relocation of Beacon of Hope?
Yes.
And would you describe the existing, or the site in question, and in particular, provide an overview of the uses that you propose to undertake at that new location?
Well, there's 3 separate structures on the property. The house would be used for our staff, so we would have on-site staffing. The storefront, we would be using as a multi-purpose, one for the worship center, as well as other functions that we do for the community. The warehouse in the back will be for our Cold Blue shelter site, as well as our food pantry and our clothes closet distribution.
Okay. And would you tell the board, in terms of the house of worship that requires the use variance, what are the hours of operation, if you will, of that house of worship? When will worship services be undertaken?
Worship services will be on Sunday morning from 11 a.m. to 1, and Wednesday night from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m.
Okay. And is that the extent of the worship services?
Yes.
In terms of the food and clothing distribution, what are the hours of operation of those 2 functions?
Food and clothing distribution is every Friday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
And that's the extent of the hours within which you will be distributing food and clothes from that location?
Yes.
In terms of the life skills classes that you referenced, could you tell us what that is and when those will be provided?
Life skill classes will be Monday through Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. During those times, we will be having our life skills classes.
Okay. When you say life skills classes, what does that mean?
Life skills is parenting classes, domestic violence training, parenting, nutritional training classes, financial freedom, employment, so that people can improve themselves.
Is there some educational background for the teachers or the trainers or whatever you may officially call them for these various classes?
Yes, the nutritional training classes, we are contracted with the Food Bank of South Jersey, which I'm a board member, and they send out their teachers. We also work with the local banks for the financial freedom classes. The parenting classes, we work with Virtua to have them come out to help teach people about parenting skills and domestic violence. We work with the police department.
And these are lecturers that come in or speakers that come in for the students?
Yes.
And with respect to the homeless shelter, the Code Blue homeless shelter, could you describe in a little more detail what that is, when you provide those services, and to how many people?
The homeless shelter only operates effectively December 1st until March 31st. We provide emergency shelter for adults, men and women only. We do not provide for families. We allow them to come in from 7 p.m. till 7 a.m. in the morning. We provide them a place to sleep. We provide hot meals for them. We provide hygiene kits and other things that would help them. We also provide transportation to and from the center.
So is the shelter aspect of this tied in with the Code Blue aspect? It sounds like they're pretty much one and the same.
Yes, the shelter it's our overnight Code Blue shelter.
So it runs from December 1st to March 31st, but, correct me if I'm wrong, only when you have 32 or below degrees and Fahrenheit and a wind chill of 25 degrees, 25 or less.
Yes, the health department would have to do a declaration for us to enact Code Blue.
All right, I was going to ask you, who triggers the Code Blue? So it's the Burlington County Health Department?
Yes.
And how many beds, if you
Counselor, excuse me, can you just a second? Do we have the hearing? Somebody in the back has requested the hearing aid.
We have the hearing devices for those that are hard of hearing, or
Yeah, I
have
think
difficulty
it's-
hearing?
Okay, I understand your question. Counselor, when you ask your applicant a question, would you step closer to that microphone so that they can hear the question?
Sure, we can try.
Okay, is that what you're talking about?
We can
All
try.
right, got it? Thank you.
You have any problems with my question? Yeah. You can't hear me?
Yes. You want to step over here a little bit?
But you have to stay away from that microphone, because it'll reverberate. Yes, it'll really hurt everybody.
So I can give this to her now, Paula?
Let me turn down that one, because there's a reverb.
So it turns out I was right.
So yeah, you just have to stay.
Okay. So a song coming on. Hello? Oh, can you hear me now? Awesome.
Okay,
Okay.
just ask your last three questions and do it over again, please.
Okay. So we'll start from the top, because it's short.
Okay.
So for the benefit of everyone here. Okay, so what we were discussing, let's start with the house of worship. Hours of operation of the house of worship are proposed to be,
Church services are Sunday morning from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., and Bible study is Wednesday night from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m.
okay, and that's the extent of the proposed worship service time?
Yes.
Okay. All right. With respect to the food and clothing distribution, when is that proposed to be undertaken on site?
Food and clothing distribution is every Friday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Okay, and that's the extent of those hours?
Yes.
Okay. Life skills classes, could you explain to us what life skills classes mean?
Life skills mean teaching individuals parenting classes, financial freedom, employment, and domestic violence. And we use different organizations to assist us with those classes.
I think it's dealing with domestic violence. You're not teaching people.
No. Dealing with domestic, no. Dealing with domestic violence, yes.
Okay, just thought I'd have to clarify that.
Okay. All right. And those life skill classes will be offered when?
Monday through Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Okay, and that's the extent of the hours on the life skills classes?
Yes.
Okay. And finally, the homeless shelter, the Code Blue shelter, could you please explain what that is and when that service is offered?
Code Blue is an overnight shelter that is enacted only during the wintertime from December 1st until March 31st, when the health department deems a declaration of a cold night that's at either 32 degrees or 25 degrees in wind chill factor. They send out the notification and we enact it from 7 p.m. until 7 a.m.
Are you aware of whether there are any other Code Blue shelters in the five-town area in Burlington County? You know what I mean by five towns?
Yes, there's only 2 other Code Blue shelter sites, one in Burlington Township and one in Browns Mills.
Okay, neither one of them are within the five towns.
No, just that one.
Okay. And how many beds, if you will, are there in the Code Blue shelter that we're proposing?
We're legally only allowed to have 14. So we cannot go over 14. Adult men and women, 18 and over.
And what do you do on a night that presents more than 14 people at your door?
We have 211. We would have to contact 211 and have them go to one of the other Code Blue shelter sites. If all of the Code Blue shelter sites are full, we then have them transported to one of the emergency motel placements that we utilize.
And who provides this transportation?
We have an Uber account. We have bus passes that they can use to get to and from. But my shelter, most of the time, because it's at night, we use the Uber.
You mentioned earlier that I caught, council hasn't asked you about it yet, but I will, that you have some transportation services that you provide?
Yes.
Is that in addition to this the Code Blue services we just talked about?
It would just be the Uber and them using the bus system with the bus passes that are provided to them from the county.
And what about getting people to and from on the other business days, event days, the Sunday church, the Wednesday Bible study, the parenting classes, and the food and clothes? Do you have transportation to and from for those events or any of them?
Well, since COVID, we've been doing everything online. So with the life skills training classes, they are currently online. We will return to coming in, but we only allow up to 10 individuals at a time for the classes.
Okay. When are you going off the online?
Hopefully, we can get an approval from you, and then we can prepare for moving forward in our project.
And in terms of other services that you propose to provide, like the service, the Bible study, food and clothes, do you provide transportation to get people from where they live to your proposed facility and back?
If they need it, we will use our emergency Uber account.
Okay. And otherwise, they're on their own to get there and back?
The majority of them have transportation, they have cars, but if they don't have transportation, we will provide that transportation for them.
And I think you said, although you didn't, in your earlier testimony when I was asking questions, you identified the public entities that were providing lecture. You can't hear me? No. I'm using the microphone, so that's the best I can do.
You can move it closer.
They answered your question pretty quickly.
It seems to, yes. In terms of the public entities that provide your proposed, or actually your current service, you mentioned that you had police lectures for the domestic violence, am I correct?
Yes, we work with the police department, we work with Virtua, we work with the health department, we work with the Food Bank of South Jersey, and we work with the local banks.
All right, and these are for the various components of your classes?
Yes.
Okay. And we don't have a police department here in Haynes, but we have state police service. So who do you use for your police lecturers?
We have, I have relationships with the New Jersey State Police Department, so we do work with them. But right now, because we're in Haynes, in Mount Holly, we use the Mount Holly Police Department. But I will reach out to connect with the New Jersey state troopers to see if I can get them to come out and assist us with those classes.
One of the reasons perhaps is that there's a din in this room. Maybe that's why you can't hear as well. So it would be nice to keep the din down so we can all hear each other. With respect to the medical-related classes, parenting, that sort of thing, who do you use presently for that? Who do you propose to use for that, for those classes?
We use Virtua.
Virtual hospital?
Yes.
All right, I didn't mean to take over, ma'am.
Not at all.
Go ahead.
Not at all. We were just about wrapped up with our initial overview of our use. Darlene is going to be here throughout the remainder of the testimony, and we will have her testify to various things. Okay, I'll start over. What I said was that we've provided our initial testimony about the use, but we're not concluding our fact testimony. We're just going to transition into some of our expert testimony at this time. Ms. Trappier will continue to be here throughout the expert testimony, and she will be offering additional information as our experts testify about various aspects of the site and the use. So We're going to ask her to take a seat now while we ask our professional engineer to come up, but she's not going anywhere. She'll be here through the remainder of the hearing and available to answer any questions and all questions that you have.
Would it be best to ask those questions now?
That's not my prerogative. I don't make those rules. The land use board has...
I'll answer that question, no. Okay, we wait until the applicant has presented their case, then the board has questions, our professionals have questions, then when I announce public comment, you'll be allowed to come forward with your comments and questions, but they're to be directed to me. Don't get into any discussions with the applicant, and we'll get you the answers to the questions, okay? And just, I'm going to announce it again, but because of the size of the crowd, we're limiting questions, public comment to 5 minutes, okay?
Ms. Edwards?
Pardon? Per person, yes.
Ms. Edwards, I do have another couple of questions.
Of course.
For,
Darlene, can I ask you to come back?
How long, you said earlier that you operated in Mount Holly for the past 12 years, or you did as president of this operation, is that correct?
Yes, we've been legal for 12 years. We have been at that location for 10 years.
Okay. Let me just jump on the word legal in your last answer. What did you mean by that?
We established our nonprofit organization on March 10th, 2010. I operated out of my home at that time, providing assistance to those in need after a store I had closed down. And then it started to grow, so we ended up moving from there to the Mount Holly location.
And for business and tax purposes, are you classified as a nonprofit organization?
Yes, I am.
And in order to operate your service, I'll call it, setting aside the tax issues for the nonprofit, do you need to, or do you have or hold or need to have or hold any licenses or permits from any governmental organization?
In respect to?
In respect to anything, Board of Health,
Yes.
Any other, I'm a little lost for words because I'm not quite sure what the answers would be, but I'm just trying to find out if you hold any certifications from the town.
Yes, we have to get
county.
certified, recertified every year, from the health department, from the fire marshal. I think those are the only two that we have to
Okay,
renew every year.
all right, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Darlene.
Erica, can I ask?
Yes, absolutely. I'm sorry, I don't need to,
I was trying to keep up with my notes here. You had indicated that the western building, the old house, would be used by staff.
Yes.
Are there also code blue beds in that building?
No.
All right, so are those staff bedrooms?
Yes.
So how many code blue beds are proposed total?
14. Which would be in the warehouse building, bottom floor.
Okay, and I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there's 8 shown on the plan on the first floor, on the architect's plan. So there's 8 shown, but then 14 is the most you could have by law.
Yes.
So then in terms of the other staff lodging units, it looks like there are, or how many different units are there for that, and how is that handled?
In the house?
Yes.
The staff would be living upstairs in 2 of the bedrooms. And the bedrooms, the 2 bedrooms, the room downstairs, we would make it into 2 rooms, and we would use those for classrooms, for the life skills.
All right, so only two, all right, so the architecture plan does show lodging room 1 and 2 on the first floor.
Yes. The third bedroom is going to be converted into an ADA bathroom.
An ADA bathroom.
Yes, American Disabilities Act.
I understand, I just want to make sure I heard the letters right.
Yes,
Okay, so the only bedrooms, there will be 2 bedrooms upstairs.
Yes.
That'll be occupied by staff. What is is that just during the code blue?
no, they would live on the property,
Okay, so you're going to have
on-site staff,
on-site two or 3?
3 individuals.
All right, so 3, I guess 3 apartment units. Units for staff, okay.
So following up on that, that's 24/7 for 2 staff members.
Yes,
And would you describe this as their permanent residence?
yes.
They have other places that they would call their permanent residence, but they work at this place.
No, that would be where they work and where they live, but they would only be there working from 9 to 1. What they do after 1 o'clock is their personal business.
All right, okay, so they work for you part-time in effect, but live there full-time?
Yes,
Okay, all right. And so there's basically somebody on the property all the time?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
So, if you don't mind, I know I'm not.
No, jump in.
So, I'm just trying to get a feel for the revenue side of what you do. So, if there was a code blue situation, and you had to take in people, do you get paid from the county, or is there some sort of revenue that flows into your organization about these people?
We are now contracted with an organization called PRAC, Puerto Ricans Association Council. And they pay my staff to work there. They also have a contract with the state, with DCA, and they provide all of our supplies. Whatever we need, we would send them the request. If we find something, equipment that we would need, we would send them the request, they would order it, and then send it to us.
But if a resident is in need in a code blue situation, and they come into your organization, you said the county, I thought I heard you say the county would declare the code blue. Does your revenue come from the county, or is it part of what you're discussing, the overall grants or benefits you get from the state?
My revenue comes from different sources. It's from private grants. We also have a contract with FEMA. We have a contract with Burlington County. We have a contract with the state of New Jersey. We have a contract with PRAC, and then we apply for different grants.
Okay, so there's various forms of
Yes.
revenue come into your...
Yes.
Now, I kind of, is this being a nonprofit, is this going to be classified as a church, a non-taxable piece of real estate? What is your tax, what's the tax situation that you're looking for here?
We are a nonprofit, which we will be, we will not have to pay real estate taxes.
There'll be taxes after.
Right.
I mean, that's just an anecdote.
So you're, excuse me, just to clarify on your question, you're a 501c3?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's irrelevant.
And, no, but they don't pay property taxes or income tax.
So, I noticed, and I don't know, I'm sure we're gonna get into park, and I'm just trying to get a feel for the project. And it looks like about 39 seats for the church. Is it the church part? Is that what the plan's showing?
Yes, but none of the program services will overlap.
All right, I know we'll get into park
We
later.
will,
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay. And just before we go on to something, are you finished, Mr. McLaughlin? Just so the folks in the audience understand, right now, it's the applicants presenting their case, and board members are asking questions, which you've heard. Mr. McLaughlin is on the board. It's just he's not sitting up here because we don't have enough room. Okay? I just want people to understand that we're not being selective with who we allow to speak. Okay, continue, Counselor.
Very good. Any more questions right now, anyway, for Ms. Trappier from the board or its consultants?
Yeah, just a detail. The inventory for the food pantry and the clothing closet, as you call it, where does that come from?
We are agency contracted with the Food Bank of South Jersey, as well as we have a contract with Retail Rescue through the Food Bank of South Jersey, where we're able to go pick up donations from several grocery stores, the military base, Walmart. We have a lot of locations or businesses that we can go pick up. Clothes are donated to us. We get donations from the Walmart warehouse center. So we get stuff that's donated to us every day.
Right. I mean, it's probably obvious in just the whole description of what you do, but what are the criteria for receiving services from your business?
You just have to be in need.
Okay, and, well, that could be a generalization, but are there more specific requirements?
Anyone, when one comes in to receive assistance, they have to be a Burlington County resident because all of my contracts are based for Burlington County.
Okay.
They come in, they bring their verification of their address, they bring proof of their income, depending on what type of service that they're requesting from us, and how many children they have in their family. So when we provide food, we're providing enough based upon the family size. It's not cookie cutter. But if there's 10 people in the family, I'm providing food for that many. If it's one person, I'm providing food for that one person. So that's pretty much what the criteria is for anyone coming in seeking assistance.
All right, but the criteria, it sounds like is the starting point is Burlington County resident.
Yes, you have to be a Burlington County resident, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question regarding the food program. I have a little bit of experience with the Food Bank of South Jersey as well as Farmers Against Hunger.
Yes.
When you are providing these services, it's going to be open to anyone who is eligible for it to come to the site to receive that food, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so there could potentially be a lot of traffic flow with that, because they'll in essence pick up bags of food that are already pre-sorted, or are they going to be able to shop?
It's all pre-sorted.
Right.
It's all prepared, and everything is bagged and ready to go, and it's based upon, we have different family sizes, but everyone gets pretty much the same amount of food, the same types of food.
So with your experience in running this out of your Mill Street location, have you had any traffic concerns or congestion issues? Because my experience is a lot of times when it's first being provided, that's really when the mad rush comes, and it could be a significant number of people. What has been your experience, and how have you handled those traffic concerns?
Well, since I don't know if everybody's familiar with Mill Street, it's a very tight street. But we do work with the other businesses, well, not all the other businesses, but, they also come and participate and receive food as well. There's parking on the street. I would say 60% of ours is foot traffic, and 40% are those that are in cars. But it moves quickly. It's not like it's taking half an hour. It may take less than 5 minutes for someone to receive food. It's a revolving. It revolves until everyone is provided assistance.
What do you expect the difference to be at this location in terms of foot traffic, percentage of foot traffic compared to vehicular traffic? And will you be delivering any of these food items to outside of the location?
Yes, there are families who do not have the ability to come to Hainesport, so we have already started working on the list of names, the families that cannot make it there, and we will load up our truck with their food, and we'll take it back to them in Mount Holly and deliver it to them on Thursday, so that way we can do everyone can be there on Fridays to do those who come in.
And then going back to the programs that are being offered, it sounds like a lot of these programs are already offered through the county. A lot of the programs are offered from their Human Resources building on Wood Lane Road. Do you work in conjunction with them? Are you kind of like a satellite facility for some of their services that you provide, that they also provide? How do you work with the county?
We do work in conjunction with the county.
Okay. Thank you.
You mentioned Mill Street.
Yes.
Is that your corporate office? Because do you not also have a location on 537 near Pine Street? There's a storefront I see there that has a sign of Beacon of Hope.
That is our location, 41 Mill Street. That's the only location that we operate out of.
Is it Mill Street or?
In Mount Holly, yes, right there, just before the corner of Pine Street. That's Beacon of Hope.
And it's Mill Street?
Yes.
Almost 537. I just wondered whether we're talking about the same location.
Yes.
Mill Street is where, what's the name of that restaurant? Robin's.
Robin's Nest is on the corner, but there, on the other side of the light, that's considered Washington Street. And once you cross over the light, then it turns into Mill Street.
Okay.
How many people typically do you have online over there on Mill Street? I've been by there, I've seen some online, but I never, count. What do you testify your, people, the queue waiting in line over there is?
Repeat the question, please.
Pardon me? I'm asking how many people are online at the current location in the various programs, and especially the food line. How many people, the residents can expect to see online? In line.
Because it's a continuous flow, you may see 30 people in line, and once they move out, it may be another 5 people come in, it may be another 5 people after that, so it's never like 100, 150 people there at one time. It's never.
You're dealing with a very constrained area. In this footprint here, it could multiply more than the current experience.
We've had pretty much the same clients, the majority of the same clients for the past 10 years. And the new space gives us the opportunity to provide services for them and get them out a little quicker.
But, this is a growth move for you. Correct? Correct?
It's a space move.
It's going to
Yes.
go up, an
Yes.
expansion of your use in Mount Holly.
Yes, of the space, yes, because we are currently in 786 square feet.
I don't want to know.
So, we should and might expect more people coming in and out of here than what comes out of Mount Holly.
I don't think we'll have more people.
No, I don't think
We'll
so.
just be able to provide for those that we provide for now more frequently.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
could the audience be mindful of the din that keeps creeping back in, making it hard for everybody to hear?
I'll clarify it. Can we have one person speaking at a time in this room, please? So we can all hear what's going on, we don't have to repeat things. Okay? Was that clear?
Yes.
I'm not talking to you. I'm just looking at you because you're...
That's okay.
I have one more question.
Yes,
Do
ma'am.
you have any concerns with your change of location and potentially not serving the people, the foot traffic that you may have at your location now and being at this location? Is there a concern about not reaching your constituents with this move?
No, because we do home deliveries for those that are disabled. We provide for seniors that are disabled, people who have just gotten out of the hospital. So we continue to do home delivery. So doing that is no different than loading up the truck and taking it to this one location for those who can't make it to Hainesport to provide for them. So it's something we're already doing.
Okay. So do you think you'll have to change your operations at all to accommodate this potential change?
Just adding Thursday delivery to those that cannot make it out to the facility, that's it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions for Ms. Trappier at this time?
I don't believe so.
Okay,
But we'll reserve the right to recall her.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce our project engineer, Mark Malinowski.
Good evening, everyone. I do have some exhibits to display. I'm not sure the best location for them, however. Is this typically where you would put them?
There's no one great location.
Yeah, I know,
So we just
but-
have to do the best.
Okay. Well, I'll leave it here. And if any of the crowd wants to advance over to the other side. It's kind of a small display, but in any case, the first exhibit I have this evening is an aerial photograph of the site, and I'll mark it as Exhibit A1. What we did is we prepared the aerial to show the site. We've highlighted that in a red envelope line and to show the surrounding area. So the property itself is a developed site. It's just under 0.9 acres. It fronts on New Jersey State Highway Route 38. And it has access to State Highway Route 38. Currently, there is the building that's on there. It's, as testified before, it's in 3 sections. The easterly portion of the building, or I'm sorry, the westerly portion of the building is a bi-level residential building. And each of those, the combination of square footage of that is 2,588 square feet. Adjoining that, it's attached, is a one-story masonry building. And let me just double check on the square footage on that real quick. One-story masonry building, and that is an additional 2,860 square feet. And then adjoining that to the rear of the property is a 2-story masonry building, and that has a total square footage, both the first level and the second level, for a total square footage of 5,040 square feet. Now, that's a gross floor area. It's not the interior floor area. I just want to make that clarification, because there may be some differences between those areas noted on the architectural plans, because they're typically just the interior floor areas.
And that's a 2-story section, and there are 2...
In the rear of the property,
floors.
it's 2 stories, correct. And each floor is a little over 2,500 square feet. So as you can see, again, it's in the commercial highway district. Adjoining it is the Legacy Treatment Facility. That's to the east side, and it also wraps around to the north of the property. Further on to the east are a number of different types of commercial uses. To the west side, you have a heavily wooded area. It's a drainage corridor that is a tributary to Masons Creek. And then further to the west of that is the Glen at Masons Creek residential development.
What is the approximate, and give me something better than a guess, if you would, distance from the house, the bi-level house, to the property line at Mason's Woods?
Well, what I did is earlier today, in preparation for the meeting, this aerial is scaled at 1 inch equals 1,000 feet. So I measured it, 1 inch equals 100 feet. So I measured it from the corner property, northwest corner property, to actually like the lawn area, the clearing of the woods, a direct shot, and that was 400 feet.
400 feet.
Approximately 400 feet, yes.
And I can't see it from here, but you said there was a red line showing the property boundaries. Could you just
Yeah, I'll just tilt it.
perhaps
But this
put your
is,
finger over it?
you can
so I-
see the red border around, that's the property in question, which is block 101.02, lot 5, as indicated earlier.
Okay. So this applicant doesn't, well, they haven't purchased it yet, but they would not own the wooded area between the housing or townhouses
That is correct.
and the house.
I'm sorry.
They wouldn't own, the applicant doesn't own the wooded area between the townhouses and the bi-level.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
There is some mature trees along that property, along that westerly property line, but just a slight amount. The majority of it is off the property, correct?
All right. And are you familiar with the use of the occupancy immediately to the east on Route 38?
That is the Legacy Treatment Center.
And what do they do there?
That I do not know, for sure. And then just remainder across the state highway, you have a vacant commercial use, and then a little further west, southwest, is agricultural use, a farming area. Borrow your table.
Yeah, that, what you called the farming area is a generous description of that. But a substantial part of that area has been recently, very recently approved for development. Townhouses and some single-family houses.
Thank you.
And some commercial.
The second exhibit we provided, or showing this evening, is a sort of color rendering of the site plan, modified just for display this evening. And I'll mark that as A2. So this shows the existing building, which is in a beige color. Includes the bi-level portion, the one-story masonry structure, and of course the two-story masonry structure in the rear of the property. So currently there are two entrances, two driveways onto State Highway Route 130. They're paved apron areas, and then beyond that there's remnants of gravel parking area for the previous use. What we're proposing to do is maintain those two driveways. However, we're improving them. We're going to remove the existing asphalt up to the state highway line, and repaving that and creating a paved parking lot that's also curbed, and providing 25 parking spaces on the site.
Why do you propose two driveways as opposed to consolidating into one?
Well, what we have is, we're just keeping with the current traffic pattern that was used previously. What we'll have is the easterly driveway will be a one-way in, and the westerly driveway will be one-way out. On the site. So it provides a better circulation on the site.
Have you consulted with the State Highway?
We did submit a plan to them and a letter, and they had submitted a letter of no interest on it.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, it's a letter of no interest from the NJDOT.
Can you explain what that means so the public understands?
Well, it means that the New Jersey Department of Transportation had reviewed the proposed project, or the intent of the proposed project, and they determined that it had no impact on their roadway, so there's no further permitting that's required through their department. What we've done is we provided the parking with this. We're proposing new sidewalk area along the front for access into the building. We're proposing some additional sidewalk for access to the two-story portion of the building in the rear. We have a dumpster enclosure at the rear of the property, and also a small shed for maintenance equipment and all that's also provided behind the two-story addition. Now, generally, with the increased impervious coverage, we've kept it down to the impervious coverage. We kept the increase down to less than a quarter acre. And of course, the area of disturbance is less than an acre. So therefore, we don't really need to provide any specific stormwater management control measures in accordance with the state requirements. So in doing so, we've kept the general drainage pattern for the site, where about the northern half of the site drains to the rear, through the rear of the property, and out to that tributary that's on the westerly property line. It ultimately goes out to Mason's Creek.
And that's just sheet drainage off the pavement?
And that's just sheet drainage. What we have is a sheet drainage up to, have an opening in the pavement, and it goes through a swale through the rear of the property. And that's currently what it does now.
What is the drainage off the roofs? Where does that go?
Again, that just discharges to grade, and the same thing, it sheet flows into the yard areas and out to the drainage corridor to the west of the property. And then, again, the front half also drains. It doesn't go out to the state highway. It actually drains through a swale. It goes along the front of that bi-level portion, the residential portion of the existing building.
So while you're on that exhibit,
Yes.
there's no construction going to be going on this property aside from paving the parking lots. The existing buildings are going to suffice for the services to be provided, is that right?
That's correct, with the exception of interior renovations and some exterior work, and the architect is here this evening to provide some testimony on the details of that information.
I mean, what I'm getting at is you're not going to put another building up with a church or anything like that?
That is correct. The only additional building is just a small shed in the back
Okay.
of the facility. So with this development, there are a number of variances and waivers. There's also some existing non-conforming conditions of the property. So the first existing non-conforming condition is that the size of the property, it's your ordinance for the commercial highway zone, highway commercial zone rather, the minimum lot area is 40,000 square feet. So this lot area is 38,981 square feet. So it's an existing non-conforming condition. It's a little short of the minimum requirement. In addition to that, your front yard setback from the state highway is 90 feet. But the existing building, which is the closest built portion of the building to the highway, is the bi-level portion. That's about 47.6 feet. So you have an encroachment into the front yard. And then also, in addition to that, you have also a side yard encroachment. Your ordinance requires a 25-foot setback. And again, that bi-level portion, the existing building, is 15.52.
How much?
15.52. So those are the existing non-conforming conditions for the existing building. And again, there's no other expansions to the existing building proposed. And we're also asking for a variance with regards to parking space setbacks. So for the parking spaces that are along the easterly property line, there's a setback requirement of 20 feet. And with the location of the existing building, in order to fit the parking lot, the parking spaces and all on that location, we had to encroach in that. So there are spaces that are about 10 feet from the property line, and we also have a line of spaces that are 4 feet from the property line. To mitigate that encroachment, what we've done is we provided landscaping for the 10-foot setback, and then for the parking spaces that are 4-foot setback, we have a 6-foot high vinyl fence, and we also have some additional landscaping there also.
What's the setback requirement again?
Setback is 20 feet.
20 feet.
Yeah. So that's a variance that we're asking for this project. In addition to that, again, because of the distance between the existing building and the property line, we're also asking for a design waiver on the drive aisle width of the parking lot. So your code requires a minimum of 25-foot drive aisle width for a two-way circulation, and we're proposing 24 feet, which is common for parking lots. It's a minimum engineering standard, 24 feet. One of the benefits of this is that you don't have opposing parking spaces on the other side, so there's room to negotiate for cars pulling out. And then 24 feet's enough for the two-way traffic also.
I'm sorry, has our fire marshal rendered an opinion on this?
I have not received any letter from the fire marshal on this.